Hey, this is Dr. John DeWitt with Simple Chiro Marketing, and today I'm excited to have the opportunity to discuss one of the most important reasons our office has gone from 100 patient visits a week to over 800 a week. Yes, that's a week, working only 3.5 days a week, by the way. As a chiropractor, communication is key to keep patients educated and up to date on all the latest holistic health information. This is where our guest has filled a huge void and has been since 2003. I'm here with the founder and CEO of CashPractice Inc., Dr. Miles Bodzin. How you doing, Dr. Miles?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me on your program.
I appreciate it. It's really exciting because I've worked with CashPractice for several years now, and it's just really amazing. I don't know how any high volume practice that's trying to help as many people as possible. I don't know how they can get by without it. So I just wanted to ask you just a few quick questions. Um, how did you actually go about coming up with the idea of cash practice? And I know that you practice in San Diego, but what is it that you that caused you to see the gap that was really necessary to fill in the chiropractic profession?
Well, that's a great question, and I love answering this particular question. That is, it's a kind of an amorphous thing that I didn't set out to create cash practice as a business to bring to the profession at its early beginnings. It was kind of an aha moment once I developed some of the tools I developed just for my own personal use in practice, that I had shared them with other chiropractors through a small website called eBay. Um,
Right.
and yeah, and I got some great feedback from doctors, just like you just went on, and I unsolicited testimonial from you just right now. Routinely, when I first was doing this stuff, I was getting testimonials from doctors that this was just the best thing since sliced bread for them. And it dawned on me that, hey, maybe I've really kind of stumbled upon something here, and I have a very strong entrepreneurial spirit, have since I was a young kid, and saw that I can bring more value to our profession, and I love sharing the stuff that I work on, and I just love doing it. So it just became a natural thing for me to just develop this into a model where I can bring it to the profession as a whole.
Right.
So I at that time had a very simple little product that I kind of pulled back and developed something a little bit more professional in nature. And it was one of the things that kind of slowly grew organically out of my home, eventually moved into the practice, eventually moved into another office suite, and today we occupy a large building that I own, and we have a whole team of staff, and it's kind of grown into this enterprise now where we're able to really serve the profession on a big scale.
It's truly amazing. It's kind of like Microsoft. You kind of start in the garage and then work your way up, and now you've got your building, and who knows what's next. It's really
Yeah, it is a pretty exciting adventure.
Yeah, I mean it's truly amazing. The system is so nice. I my first experience with cash practice actually was years ago, right out of school, and I knew that it was really important. And the drip education in the email marketing, that was so amazing to me because right out of school you don't even know what you don't know. You're just kind of like, oh, okay. If you're trying to go out on your own, which I was, it kind of is pretty intimidating to have somebody that can help step by step. This is what you do. Send this after a week, this after 2 weeks. If you're out prospecting trying to find more patients, this is what you do. And having the little templates with all the education about chiropractic is so enormously helpful because you and I both know that 23 hours and 30 minutes out of every day, the news is hitting people with, you need to take a pill, you need to get your vaccines, you need to do this and that. And they're only in our office for a few minutes, so it's important to really educate them as much as possible whenever you have an opportunity.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So, kind of along that same vein with the email marketing, how exactly did you come up with the specific drip content? Like I know for people that don't know about the cash practice system, I can't imagine who they are, but this is what this is for, is to help educate them. It
Yeah. So
yeah, go ahead.
yeah, yeah. No, I'm sorry, I interrupted you there. Um, do you want me to answer now
Oh,
then?
feel free. Go ahead.
Okay. So I have this idea that we have these four steps that we put people through, and the fourth step in the what we call the cash practice four-step process is this whole idea of drip education email marketing, or drip education is the term I coined.
Right.
Drip education is this concept that you're dripping a simple message over and over and over on people rather than trying to educate them with a fire hose.
Right.
And and people tend to learn, at least long term, they tend to change their behaviors, and that's what education is all about, is to help them change their behaviors. They tend to more successfully change their behaviors when you educate in that fashion versus the fire hose mentality of, blasting them all with a bunch of information all at once.
Exactly.
So we do lots of different things in our practice to educate people in a drip fashion, whether it be TV systems, running patient education on the TVs, and there's a tremendous number of those systems that are out there nowadays.
Right.
Whether it's giving out weekly handouts, every week there's a new topic on chiropractic, but some kind of handout we're giving someone every week, whether it's table talk, whether it's the question of the week, whatever it is. Now the email marketing system is just another tool for that process where we want to automatically, we want to reach out to people where they're going to be, we used to say on their computer, now on their smartphones.
Right.
I mean, literally everybody's getting email anywhere. There was a period of time where we thought, oh, maybe we should start going to text messaging because everybody's got phones and we want to get them on text. But that's kind of now with smartphones, it's not really necessary. Everybody
Right.
can still access email on their phones, which is what most people do. So, email is still a great way of getting out to people. And I say we want to have automated systems for educating because I don't know about you, John, but I have gone to seminars, gotten really excited, come home, gotten back to practice, and educated like crazy. And then a couple weeks later, my excitement isn't nearly as high, and maybe my efforts for educating isn't nearly as great.
Right.
And every doctor goes through that experience.
Yeah, you kind of lose your
have
steam.
highs and lows. Yeah, you lose your steam, and that's just part of being human.
Yeah.
Not all of us are full on. Not all of us are Billy DeMoss. Every day of the week.
Right.
So.
Thank God. I think that there's only one Billy.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So my point being is that we need to have systems in place that automate the education process as much as possible. So when you're not at your peak performance in educating, people are still getting the message.
Exactly.
And I like to automate this process because there's certain material that you want everybody to get, no matter when they join your practice. The material that I'm sending people today is the same material I sent them 10 years ago because chiropractic hasn't changed. It's the same stuff. So we have these pre-made campaigns, as you were mentioning, with pre-made content that was written, that we put out there that educates them on the basics of chiropractic. Now, of course, we have material that's been, there's the basics of chiropractic. Then we have a whole series that was written on chiropractic and conditions,
Right.
ADHD, bedwetting, that kind of stuff. Then we have a series that were written for wellness purposes. We have a series that's written for marketing on Facebook. Then we have other pieces that are more marketing pieces like birthday cards and those kinds of things as well.
Right. What I really love about it too is that it's not like just some bland email. It actually, each one is personalized, but the doc itself, they don't have to go in and type in, "Dear Mary, here's some information," because it's all in the program, so it automatically does that. That's a huge bonus and really makes the doc look really, really good to the patient.
Yeah, that's referred to as mail merge variables, just like you have in doing Microsoft Word or some other program where you can have automatically puts in the people's information. So it automatically puts in the doctor's name. It automatically addresses it to the patient. We have all these different variables that you can actually use in the system where it'll automatically plug in your data. So the emails look like they're coming directly from you to the patient. They're very personalized. You can also upload your own photos, your own documents. You could have links
Yep.
that point to things. You could have videos that you link to, all kinds of cool stuff.
Right, and I know that's the fourth step. And originally, one of the other, I was looking through, and there's so many updates now with the insurance visit estimator and the target collection calculator and staff bonus system, all that stuff. And originally, it was just the drip ed system, the auto debit system, and the cash plan calculator. And just those alone were so beneficial because, as I was saying when I first started out, I didn't have a clue how to go about formatting a cash plan. I didn't know, you needed to have like a gold plan, a bronze plan, a platinum plan, throw in different bonuses, things like that. And that really just walks you through on how to do that. And even helps you work with insurance. Our office now is cash only, but work with insurance so that you can figure out how many treatments their insurance is going to pay for, and then how you figure all that into the plan. I mean, that was just immensely helpful.
Yeah, those tools have been around now for the cash plan calculator a good 10 years now. And yeah, from the standpoint of the 4 steps, the cash plan calculator is actually considered the second step. That's where we're talking about recommending long-term care plans that offer affordable payment options, creating that financial model for someone to pay for your care. And then that second step, you mentioned the auto debit system. Really, the step that we refer to is you want to automate payments. You want to stop reminding people of money, so we have to automate things.
Right.
So that's where the auto debit system comes in. And then the fourth step being the drip education system, where we're educating people. The newest feature, which I haven't mentioned yet, is step one, which is something we've always done, but we just recently released the software to accomplish it, and that is we need to track clinical results. We
Right.
need to be able to communicate people how they're doing. And there's been some great tools for doing that in the past, and currently still, like, for example, the Substation has their NSFI, where you're able to report to someone how they're changing, or Foot Levelers has their new pronation index, where you're able to tell people their scores.
Right.
So people like to know how they're rating. So I partnered with Dr. Dane Donahue, and we created the wellness score system, which is considered step one of the process, which is where you're able to measure your clinical, your findings, plug them into the system, and it comes up with a rating for the patient to let them know what score they have, so they're able to communicate to someone, hey, you're a D- in your health, or you're a C+, or whatever it may be,
Right.
and then be able to translate that over time.
And everybody
as
wants to get a
as
good score.
Absolutely. Everybody wants to get good grades. And,
Exactly.
we jokingly say the wellness score is the one score you can't afford to fail. And so it's kind of, now I feel like Cash Practice is now it's finally reached the complete stage we wanted it to be, which is track clinical results, offer financial plans, automate payments, automate education, and it really becomes a real powerful cycle when you put people through those 4 steps.
Right, and that's one of the things too that really sold me on the software originally, was the fact that you had already gotten everything approved through the California State Board, and I was in California, so I didn't have to worry about making sure I was doing something that might not be on the up and up. It's all approved, and that really helped make me comfortable going ahead with using the software.
Yeah, we've even gone one step further now, where not only we done those types of things where we're making sure that we've had attorneys review it, and the state board compliance issues taken care of, but we've gone one step further where we've now partnered with Cairo Health USA, which is a company that allows you to make sure you're compliant when you're dealing with insurance, and you're doing, for example, the doctor who wants to get maximum reimbursement from the insurance company, but yet still have a significantly reduced fee for their cash patients, or not really cash patients, but for their patients that are uninsured or underinsured, or for non-covered visits, however you want to term it.
Right.
It really makes you totally bulletproof in that regard. So we've partnered with them, and the latest version of the cash plan calculator actually integrates with their system. So it's, we're always looking to do updates to make sure that our doctors are protected, and make sure that we're not only just providing the best service, but we're also making sure we're keeping doctors out of hot water, and that type of stuff. We also have something that we haven't really even publicized, but we actually have a Cash Practice Board of Advisors, which is made up of industry experts in the chiropractic world that know compliance, know legalities, that type of stuff, and we get advised by them on a fairly regular basis. I have them review our materials, that type of stuff.
Yeah, that's really, I think that's the biggest bonus of working. Yeah, you're going to get a lot of good education for the patients. You're going to be helping more people, but at the same time, from the doctor's perspective, you really are protected, because you have a whole team of people that are making sure you're doing everything the way that you should, and you're not missing anything. You're crossing all the T's, dotting all the I's, and I
Right.
think that's just really crucial for that. I actually was wanting to shift now and talk about some of the success stories that you've had. I see that you've got thousands of companies that are using the software, and you process over 20 million in collected revenue a year for the members. Um, is that an old number, or has that gone
That
up
actually is an
considerably?
old number. As soon as you say that, that is an old number. We're actually, as of date right now, I can't say exact number, but I can't reveal that. But I'll tell you this: it's well over $100 million a year for our members is going through the system.
Yeah,
Uh,
I thought 20 million sounded a little low.
it is. It is. Yeah. At this point, it's well over $100 million going through the system right now, and that's referred to, actually. What I'm referring to there is actually the amount of money that's accepted, meaning
Right.
not money that's been approved. There's obviously transactions that get declined at times, but from the standpoint of money that's actually being processed and accepted, it's a pretty significant dollar amount that our
Uh,
members are
oh
paying.
yeah, it's amazing. And for our office, um, it, uh, it's almost impossible to be able to keep track of everybody, because all the amount of information after working at different events. Like I did the 4th of July festival down or up at the Huntington Beach Pier, and it was a 4-day event. Probably screened well over 100 different people, and you're getting all their contact information. And I mean, you do that over 6, 7, 8 years, and it gets to a point where you just have a flood of emails, and you don't know, you can't remember who was from what, and it just gets really confusing. I was looking through the database the other day. We have over 6,000 emails in our database, and to be able just to send one email out saying, we have another event coming up. If you'd like to stop by, feel free. That'd be great. Tell your friends. It just makes it so much easier and stress free than to have to try to figure out, okay, no, this person, that person, and you can put filters,
Right.
on if they told you I'm not interested. You're like, okay, that's fine. Then I'll just take you out of the system, and that way you're not bothered by any emails or anything like that. It's just truly that is another huge bonus to the patient management aspect of it, and really really helps a lot. Now, where do you see the future of chiropractic going? I know people, well, chiropractors especially at CalJam, things like that, are always talking about cash is going to be the way to go in the future.
Yeah.
Insurance, I mean, I heard of a guy the other day that he averaged collections through insurance of about $120 a visit, but then all of a sudden the insurance changed and dropped it down to like 13. And
Yeah.
I mean, he had to almost shut down his office because he can't survive on that.
Yeah, here in California, when the work comp laws changed a number of years ago, a third of the chiropractors in California either closed or left. So when I often have people say, is it risky to go cash? Is it, is it, and what they're saying is that is it risky because you're going to lose people, you can't keep people to sign up, that type of thing. And my answer is always, it's the least risky practice model. It's the least risky because you're not dependent on some third-party rules. Granted, you might be making a killing in insurance if you are, but again, you're always one pen stroke away from losing that business. And I can't sleep. I personally couldn't sleep well that way.
Right.
Where do I see it? I've seen going cash. Hence 15 years ago when I registered the name, or 10 years ago, whatever it's been now, that I registered the name Cash Practice. I saw that back then, and I still see it going that way. Everything points in that direction. Healthcare costs are spiraling out of control. It's one of the things that we're seeing, that even with insurance, we're seeing, even if there's Obamacare or whatever, we don't know how that's going to look. We don't know whether it's going to be covering chiropractic, and I don't even know, much about the Obamacare,
Right.
what's going to happen with it per
It
se.
just sounds
But
scary.
it just sounds scary. It does. It sound, the way it's being presented. The point being is that here's what I can say. Every practice that I know that is kicking ass is cash-based.
Right.
Now, they may not be 100% cash, but they are cash. It's the majority of their practice is cash.
Right.
Absolutely the majority. And the other thing I could say that I see now, and I see this trend becoming even more so, is that the difference between the haves and the have-nots in chiropractic is getting bigger.
Right.
Because of the fact that it is more of, hey, it's work. You gotta. I mean, it's not harder. It's not just like back in the day with insurance, where you put your name up, you get 100 patients come in a week, you bill insurance, you get paid, and and you could survive, and not just survive, but probably do pretty well. Nowadays, it's not that case. You either are kicking butt or you're not, and it's very few. Not just very few. It's just less middle class in the chiropractic world. It's either, and I'm seeing that across the board. I'm either talking to doctors who are just super stoked, super excited, really kicking butt, or they're just dying on the vine.
Right.
So that's and I see that probably trend continuing, that it's probably a weeding out process. It's probably a process where, the cream rises to the top, and that just means that the doctors are, that are dedicated and following the principle and educating and doing all the things are going to have just that much more success. And unfortunately for the doctors who are not, then either they get the help they need, or
Right.
then or chiropractic isn't for them.
Right, and that's the thing. I think a lot of docs go into school thinking, okay, I'm gonna become a chiropractor. I know a guy down the street that's a chiropractor. He's making all kinds of money. It's gonna be great. I'll just graduate and put up my license, and there'll be people flooding the office. And it's just not that way. And a lot of people kind of look down on sales and don't want to think, oh, well, I'm a doctor, I shouldn't have to sell anything. But I mean, as you know, being an entrepreneur like you are, I mean, you have to sell anything. I mean, if you have to sell yourself to your future spouse, you have to sell yourself to patients that, this is what you're going to do, and I can help you. And it's not a
Right.
negative thing. You're actually just explaining and educating to someone that you offer them something that's going to help them, that they need. And if they decide not to go with that, then it's just you didn't explain it well enough to make them understand that it actually is something that they need.
Right. And I think when doctors are afraid of sales and that kind of stuff, I think what they're really saying is I don't want to be the used car salesman.
Right.
And, they don't want to be the high pressure, get in your face kind of guy or girl. And I often say that there's a real art to selling without sounding like you're selling.
Right.
And just like there's an art to chiropractic, and you have to learn that art. Well, there's in the communication of sales where it doesn't come across that you are selling, but people are still buying. That's a skill. That's an art that anybody can learn.
Yep.
And if you don't know how to do it, then you just got to get help with that. And at first, it's probably one of these things that like it doesn't feel right, doesn't feel real, whatever it may be. But eventually, you learn it and you make it your own, and it comes across where, hey, listen, I'm providing value. I'm a solution provider to someone. I'm not coming across hard and pushy or any of that type of stuff. And there's a way to do it where people just naturally say, yeah, I want to be part of what you're offering. I see a lot of value in it, and here's my money.
Right, and that's kind of how it is with scripting too. A lot of docs get really worried about scripting because they think, oh, well, that's just going to sound canned and people aren't going to believe it or whatever. And
right.
I mean, scripting is so important just because you want to make sure that every patient gets the same message, and that way, if you're changing it up and all of a sudden one person signs up and one person doesn't, you don't know what the heck you said to one person or the other, and so you need to be able to change it up to make sure you're being as effective at communicating as possible.
And on the subject of communication, I would encourage doctors to really make a study of things about body language, nonverbal skills, because my experience has been it isn't always, in fact, very little of what we communicate is through the word. It's actually through our tone, through our looks, through our pauses,
Yep.
through our body language. That has more impact than most any words. So I agree with you in regards to scripting. I more follow the line of logic of I want to have an agenda that I follow. I have a specific set of processes that I'm going to go through along to accomplish the goal of them signing up for care, for example. So I have this agenda that I go through, and the words I use may not be exactly the same, but I know the feeling. I know what I'm trying to accomplish at each step, and that's communicated through body language, through looks, through pauses,
Right.
through those types of things as well. Not necessarily exactly what the words are. So there's a variety of ways of going about that, but I would encourage doctors to really make it a point. And that comes across great if you videotape yourself
Yeah.
or record yourself, and you're like, holy crap, no wonder they're not getting it, or maybe they got it in this case, but not this case because, man, my tone was wrong, my tone was right, or my look I gave them was wrong, whatever it is.
Or a lot of
all
times
those things.
too, when they're nervous, they're talking so fast that the patient does. I
Exactly.
mean, it's the first time they've heard it, and they're just like, "Wait, what? What?"
Yeah, and the doctor just throws up on them because they just, especially when they're right out of school, for example, they
Yeah.
just talk and talk and talk and forget that they're supposed to be having a conversation.
Right, and I think
Just like you and I are having.
that goes along right with what you were just saying. I think that scripting is important to get the basic point across, but then you have to tailor it to each individual person by asking questions and reading their body language and
Right.
making sure that they understand what you're telling them.
Exactly. Just like you and I are having a conversation right now. It's not you just asking a question, me answering it, and then you go to the next question. We're having a conversation.
Right.
And, it's the same thing with your patients in a report of findings. It's not you just throwing up on them. It's you having a conversation with them. And
Yeah, that
it's
verbal
part of the
vomit
process.
is never good.
Yeah.
So, well, that's great. I actually don't have a whole lot more questions. That was very informative. Always a pleasure. Hopefully, we can do this again in the future. Thanks for taking the time to talk about the amazing cash practice system, and I'm definitely going to take advantage of some of the new updates you were just talking about, and see if I can get us up to 1,000 patients a week.
Absolutely, absolutely. And if people listening to this want to know how to learn more about us, I say just go to cashpractice.com or contact Dr. DeWitt, and whatever we could do to help.
Absolutely. This is Dr. John DeWitt with Simple Chiro Marketing. Keep saving lives one spine at a time.